Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys are all doing well. So today is the video that I think a lot of you have been waiting for. I spoke with a carnivore coach, and so this is the carnivore coach video on figuring out, what I'm doing wrong with the carnivore diet and really talking to someone and figuring out what's going on. So I'm going to give you a quick update before we do that, and also for this video, I think it's going to be kind of in two parts. So for this week's update, I'm going to tell you everything we talked about with the carnivore coach, and it might go a little bit long. And so in next week's video, I'm going to be giving kind of my reactions to it and my thoughts to it, and kind of walking through the process with you guys on camera of making a decision of kind of where I want to go from here. So in this video, I'm just going to be sharing everything that I talked about with her, and then next video I'll talk about kind of my reactions and things to it. So real quick update, it's very easy because not a whole lot is happening. Nothing has really changed from last week. I am not down any actual weight on the scale, but I am maintaining, and I'm doing that while I'm going to exercise. So that's cool. I went and exercised 3 times this week. That's what I'm shooting for right now, 3 times out of the home, kind of every other day during the week. And that's good for my body right now. I am still sore. My arms are really like trying to get used to the arm exercises and stuff that I'm doing. So I definitely am still feeling that, and it's a little bit less, but I'm working to get used to that right now. So I'm excited that I'm maintaining my weight while I'm exercising, and I'm kind of building muscle, I guess. At some point here, I really kind of need to figure out what I'm doing and get a good plan so that the weight will continue to keep coming down on the scale, because it has felt kind of stagnant for the last month. I haven't really lost anything, and for the last kind of like 3 months, I really haven't continued to just lose with regularity. So I really kind of need to get that figured out. In the next like kind of week, 2 weeks, I'm coming up on my 6 month, like half a year, like weight loss mark, and I'm really only at 35 pounds still. So I definitely want to go a tiny bit faster than that. It's kind of almost like 5 pounds a month, so I don't know. Anyway, so all of that is the same. My eating is kind of the same. I've added in a little bit, tried a little bit of pieces of fruit occasionally, mostly still just berries, lots of protein, but varying sources of protein, not just steak, not just beef. I'm kind of back in the realm of eating whatever kind of protein I want. I've been having some salads with fresh veggies on them, and yeah, that's about it. So it's probably still kind of low carb because I'm really trying to focus on my protein. And so yeah, that's how things have been. And so let's start talking about what the carnivore coach said. And so I took a lot of notes, you guys. So we were gonna go over, if you didn't see last week's video, I went over all the questions I was gonna talk about with her, and so I'm gonna address them in this video. It might help to watch last week's video if you feel so inclined, but I'm going to do my best to cover everything as accurately as possible. So we were going to go over things like, was I eating enough? Was I eating enough fat? Where my calories are at and where they should be at, where my macros were at, where they should be at. Why was I getting reactive hypoglycemia? Was I fat adapted? How to tell if you're truly fat adapted? How can you do carnivore for 5 months and not get fat adapted? Am I getting reactive hypoglycemia because my body's not converting to fat quick enough? Had she ever heard of that? That's what my naturopath said. How to get your body into ketosis, how to know if you're in ketosis, what's the difference between fat adaptation and ketosis. We talk about electrolytes, am I getting enough electrolytes? Could I be having an electrolyte issue? The numbness feeling that I'm feeling on my skin, or it's really lessened, guys. It's getting less. It's like almost gone. But has she ever heard of that? And then we talked about gallbladder removal and fat like malabsorption, or not absorbing the fat because of not having a gallbladder. So we covered a lot of those things and probably a little bit more. And so I've got like notes and everything. So let's start with, gosh, this is kind of hard to like convey all of this. So basically I have 2 things kind of going wrong that are really affecting how the diet was going. And the first one is the fact that I don't have a gallbladder. And so I'm really not absorbing my fats. Now, not everybody that doesn't have their gallbladder will have like the same reaction that I am, but for me, when I go to the bathroom, I can see all the fat in the toilet still. And so because I'm having drops in my blood sugar, and because I'm low energy, because I haven't been feeling very good on this, we determined that yes, that is affecting it because I'm seeing it, I'm not absorbing the fat. And so I was taking the ox bile, probably not for long enough because I wasn't doing that the whole time. And probably the dose was too small. She said you can take as much until you start kind of feeling warm, like a warmer sensation. And then you know that you are taking enough. And also if you start having energy, if your blood sugar stops dropping and you stop feeling like crap, you know, if you stop seeing it all in the toilet, you'll know when you're absorbing it better because you'll feel better. And so there's 3 different things I can take. I can take ox bile. I can take the hydrochloric acid, which is just your stomach acid, and I can take like different digestive enzymes. And so with the ox bile, all right, so this is what I was taking, just ox bile. In all of my research, I don't know that a certain brand of ox bile is better than the other, just that it's ox bile. But you can see I was taking 1,000 milligrams. So I was taking 1 supplement of these a day. I got more milligrams than some of them come in, so I only had to take 1. And I was trying to be kind of like cost effective that way. But she said, no, then you're not taking enough. If you're still not digesting it, then you know you're not taking enough. And so to up it to 3. Start with 3, see how you feel, and you can kind of keep going up from there and playing around with it. You know, I could add these other things, hydrochloric acid, digestive enzymes, something like that. And so we need to get my body recognizing the fat and actually burning the fat well. She said I don't have to do that forever. I shouldn't need to do that forever. At some point I'll be able to taper down and hopefully taper off completely, but at the beginning I absolutely do need that. So I will mention that my husband does not have a gallbladder either from before he even started carnivore eating, and he has not taken anything this whole time. He does still notice fat when he goes to the bathroom. I think he was just eating a ton more fat than I am, and so he was somehow getting like enough fat. So yeah, that's just been our experience, just passing along information. So my next problem is definitely not eating enough fat, and so I'm going to tell you everything that she said there, but it's going to cover like, was I eating enough, not eating enough fat, calories, macros, where should all of that be? And it does relate to the reactive hypoglycemia. So when I started carnivore, I will willingly admit, I thought you're just eating meat. Like, you cut out everything else, you just eat meat. You can eat all kinds of meat. You can try different meats. You can do, whatever you want. Really though, the meat is not fuel. Like, so it doesn't give you energy. It's not going to be fuel for your body. It goes towards other processes. It goes towards building up things, your cells, your body, stuff like that, right? When you're eating carnivore, you got to shoot for a 80-20 ratio. So 80% of the calories that you eat need to come from fat, and 20% of the calories you eat need to come from protein. Now, fat has a lot more calories than protein, so you're not necessarily like gram for gram going to be eating, the same amount. And so she said what that looks like is like 1 16-ounce steak at night with about 4 ounces or so a day of butter, and that would bring you to about 1,800 calories, and that would meet not only your caloric needs, but it would meet the proper ratio of that. And so what you can actually do is that if your ratio gets thrown off, and so if you eat too much protein but not enough fat, you actually end up being hungrier and kind of like starving yourself, because your body is not recognizing a fuel source. And so that's kind of the problem that I was having, was when I'm feeling hungry and I'm feeling weak and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I would go reach for some protein. You know what I mean? It seems really counterintuitive to me to like gnaw on a stick of butter, when you're feeling hungry. So, but no, when you're hungry, you need to go add in more fat. And so I asked her like, well, what does that look like? I mean, how do you get in even more fat than what I was doing? At the end I was like eating fat trimmings. That's definitely one way you can do it. I mean, you can take your butter and you can whip it up, like make whipped butter in the morning and eat it. You can put it in your coffee. She said coffee on this is fine. She recommends decaf. Do it the Swiss water or decaf way, so that you're not getting all the chemicals when it becomes decaf. She's like, the caffeine kind of irritates your intestines, and so can mess things up there, mess up absorption and things there. So decaf is best, but you can have decaf coffee, and you can put a lot of butter. Just like you could put 4 ounces of butter and then get your fats in right off the bat, in your morning coffee or whatnot. Really, if it's decaf, you could have your coffee in the evening as well. And so all the animal fats are good. I was like, is there any animal fat that's better, than another animal fat? And she said, no, I mean, butter, the tallow is good. She's like, I'm in the United States, so in the United States you can get, duck, you can get elk, you can get a lot of different kind of animal fats, and they're all kind of equal as in her mind is what she said. So, but that can also look like, you know, taking a piece of ham or something out of the fridge, wrapping it around butter, and then like eating it. So needless to say, it's really important to get your animal fats in, because if you continue to just shove your body with more and more and more protein, it almost doesn't even like recognize the fat for fuel either. And so she really stressed how important it was to have that correct ratio, or you're not going to feel good on it. And so that's what she thinks I'm getting the reactive hypoglycemia from, is that I'm not getting enough fat, so my body's not using it for energy. It's not noticing it for energy because I'm not having enough fat, and because my body's not processing it properly with my gallbladder. So I have kind of this double whammy going on of two things, two major things. So I was like, but for reactive hypoglycemia, you know, my one naturopath said, you know, some people just don't convert the fat to energy very well, and then you get the drops in the blood sugar. She did not feel like that was true. She believes that everybody can convert the fat to energy just the same, that everybody's body should be able to do that, and that nobody should like need carbs in their diet. I'm just reporting what she said. I have a lot of thoughts on the matter, and that's what the next video is going to be about, is just kind of talking through this and trying to make some sense of all of it. And so she believes I wasn't having the reactive hypoglycemia because I can't convert the fat to energy, that like my body can't do it, but that my body is not doing it. And then we need to figure out why. So she agreed with my naturopath, like I'm not using the fat properly for energy, but she thinks if I try these different things, then I could get my body to do it. So that's the difference there between the two different thought processes, I guess, of these two individuals that I've talked to. So what is fat adaptation, and how to tell that if you are fat adapted? So basically fat adapted is just using the fat for energy, converting the fat, and you know, you would be feeling good. So I said in the last video, you know, I felt like I was fat adapted. I was basing that on the fact that I had gotten really used to eating the meat. All the cravings went away, and I felt like really good, like emotionally about eating it. Like I had just really gotten like used to it. However, I don't know that I was like completely fat adapted, because it's ending up in the toilet when I go to the bathroom, and you know, I'm not utilizing it for energy, and that's why my blood sugar is dropping, and that's why I'm low in energy, and that's why I'm not feeling good. So was I fully fat adapted? I guess probably not, right? So that's how you tell. Let's see. So here's 5 quick signs to know that you're fat adapted, that you have more stable amounts of energy. And I definitely didn't, right? My blood sugar is dropping, and I have low energy. I wasn't feeling good. Reduced cravings. I definitely had that. A clear mind. No, I complained about foggy thinking a lot. So no, I did not have that. Better endurance, obviously, no. I was complaining a couple weeks ago how I didn't even feel good enough to like go exercise. So, and you're losing body fat. So I did in the beginning, which is why I was thinking you know, everything was humming along there in the beginning. And so I thought, yeah, I had gotten fat adapted, but no, it kind of caught up with me, and then I hadn't been losing. And so, yeah, based on those signs, probably I wasn't. That's what you would be looking for. And then being fat adapted is different than ketosis though. So like you can go into ketosis just from doing kind of like a fast. And so ketosis is kind of like a day by day kind of interval kind of thing. Fat adaptation can take like a month or more for your body to start really recognizing and converting the fat to energy. So fat adaptation is a longer term kind of process, and ketosis is quicker. How do you tell if you're in ketosis? We talked about the urine test strips. She said they're only good for like a month. So if you have any test strips that are longer than a month, then they're not going to be accurately reading everything. She's like, a lot of people who want to know, get like a ketone meter. Keto Mojo is the brand, and you can tell whether or not you're in ketosis, and you could be testing it. All right, and so the last thing we covered was electrolytes, and I do think I was getting in enough electrolytes. She thinks so as well. She has not heard of like numb skin and what that is. She was starting to talk about like low back injuries or something. I'm like, no, like this came while I was doing carnivore, and now that I'm not strict carnivore, like it's lessening quite a bit. So she has never heard of that. I don't know what that is. I'm like, can it be electrolytes too? She's like, maybe. I mean, we don't know. So was I getting enough electrolytes in? Yes. She's like, just salt all of your meat, and then if you're getting like a teaspoon extra maybe of salt per day, she thought that would be enough. That's about 5 grams. Now if you're exercising something, or you're in hot weather, or you know, you may need more, but I wasn't. So that's like a good jumping off point for me. She thought the ratios in it were good versus like sodium, potassium, things like that, that you shouldn't necessarily need to supplement with anything else. I was like, what about all like the, you know, electrolyte drinks and powders and things? She's like, well, wherever there's a community or group of people, there will be products marketed towards those people. So you shouldn't need any of those. Now, if you like them and you feel better taking them, I mean, by all means do what works for you. But that's just what she said, was that you don't necessarily need that stuff. And that if I'm taking that salt, I should be getting enough anyway. She mentioned I could be taking magnesium like at bedtime, which I was. She recommends around 500 grams for her patients. Also 99 milligrams of potassium a day if you feel like you need it. You have to be very careful with supplementing with potassium. So before do that, don't take this as medical advice. Like before doing that, go talk to an actual doctor and, you know, make sure your electrolytes are good and be monitoring, you know, your individual stuff yourself, because yeah, that would not be good if you don't need to be taking potassium. Anyway, so definitely you have to pay more attention to electrolytes when you're keto or when you're carnivore, but yeah, that shouldn't have been an issue. I should have been getting that enough in. So really it was just like my fat, you know, my fat intake and my ratio of fat intake and how I was doing that. I really needed to pull more back on the protein, I guess, and increase the fat, which for me just seems really counterintuitive. I don't like the very fatty pieces of meat. So that is hard. And that is where I was going wrong. So I'm looking at the time on this video and I have 25 minutes of footage now, you guys, that I have to cut through. So this is way too long already. That's why I needed to make this 2 parts. I have lots of thoughts swirling around in my head. You know, I've been thinking about this all week. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now. I'm really trying to decide, you know, what's going to be best for me, what's going to be best for me long term, where do I want to go from here? Where do I want this channel to kind of go from here? I know a lot of you are here for carnivore content, so I'm definitely taking that into consideration. And you know, why I'm kind of holding on to this so long, trying to figure out, is this really something that I want for myself? So, there's so much to think about. Anyway, I thank you so much if you've made it this far in this video. Thank you for watching. Take care. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
We start to sail along these ocean waves. Nobody knows how to find us. It's turning out to be a perfect day. I just wanna leave our normal lives behind us.